review for you. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Has detected that your graphics may not be configured properly. Yes, it is. Okay. All right. So just as a quick reminder that what we did. ماذا صار يا هذا؟ All right. So last time, this is the section that I'm referring to, which is the ليش ما يكتب هذا؟ طيب نرجع لنفس القصة. The oxidation number determination, that's what we did last time. And we had several rules that we discussed in order to determine the oxidation number for any atom in any compound. And then we used that in a chemical reaction in order to see which one is oxidized, which one is reduced, which one is oxidizing agent, which one is reducing agent, based on the rule which says that an increase in the oxidation number, it means that there is an oxidation happening there. And the decrease in the oxidation number, it means that we have a reduction. That is exactly what we did in this section over here, which is oxidation number change. Why this is not right? I wonder. Let's see. Oh. طيب. Today we're going to move to section 3, which is basically an application of what we have learned in the section 2 about the oxidation number. There are 3 objectives that we have to achieve, and those 3 objectives are very, very important. Meaning that after you master the rules for determining the oxidation number, يعني الاكسيديشن number بذكرني بال change or the conversion between the grams and moles using the Avogadro's number. Okay, when we first learned that, it was something new that we have to explain and all that. Then after that, it became by default. We're using it everywhere we go. So it became something very easy for you to do, which is converting any grams into moles by multiplying by the molar mass. صح ولا لا? Or dividing by the molar, or dividing by 1 over the molar mass. Became by default. The same thing here with the oxidation number determination. If we were able to understand the rules for determining the oxidation number, then we can detect the change in the chemical reaction, which one is oxidized, which one is reduced. Then we can identify the first objective here, identify the 2 classes of chemical reaction. Now remember that we have done classification of chemical reactions before, right? And we classify them into 5 main categories. And anybody remember? Yeah, Fatima. What are the 5 types of chemical reactions? Okay. Okay, very good. These are the 5 types. As Fatima mentioned, we have single replacement, double replacement, combination, decomposition, and combustion. Now we're going to classify these 5 into 2 categories or 2 classes. كل واحد من هذول either بيكون فيه transfer of electrons, then in that case it will become oxidation reduction reaction, أو ما بيكون فيه, then it will become non-redox equation. This is what we're going to do in the first objective. In the second and the third objective, it's about balancing chemical equation. طيب ما احنا خدنا balancing chemical. Why we need to do that again? Because when we have an oxidation reduction reaction, balancing a chemical equation using the traditional method, which is counting the number of atoms, is not going to work. I will show you an example that you will never be able to do it using that method. You spend your life multiplying the reactant and multiplying the product. Something change here, you go back and forth, and you will never be able to do that. Or it will take forever, or may take long time. So now we're going to introduce a new method, and that new method is about using the oxidation number change. So that's why using or identifying or being able to determine the oxidation number becomes very, very important. Why it is important? Because using that method, then you can balance the chemical equation. The second or the third objective will be out something they call it the half reactions. It's another method for balancing chemical. Let's start with the change in the oxidation number that we need to classify based on that. First of all, have you done this before, يا عبد المحسن؟ تاكل تفاح ولا لا؟ طيب لما عمره صار معك هيك تاكل تفاحة وتصير بالنية بعد شوي، كنت تكملها ولا ترميها؟ لأنها فعلا it is safe، ما صار شيء. طيب شو فكرك صار يعني؟ What happened here؟ شو صار للتفاحة صار لونها بني؟ Do you think يعني based on what we are doing here? What we are doing احنا أصلا we're doing oxidation reduction reaction. أكيد بده يكون واحد من هذول reaction happen. Originally the apple is closed يعني sealed، ما في contact of the material with the oxygen. When you did your crime here وأكلت التفاح، okay? شو صار فيك؟ You opened it to the air, then the oxygen is contact with the materials وبصير oxidation, as simple as that. The brown color is an oxidized material that originally found in the apple. All right, and it is safe to decompose. But what are the two classes? As we said, any reaction that you may run, it will be one of the two options. Either there will be a transfer of electrons, then in that case, it is an oxidation reduction reaction. لأنه the oxidation reduction reaction mainly it's about gaining or losing electrons. So if there is a change in the or transfer of electrons, معناها this is a redox reaction. إذا ما في, then that is a non-redox reaction. That's what we are trying to do here, to classify the reaction either with transfer of electrons or without transfer of electrons. Now, taking a look at the 5 types of Fatima that we mentioned, you will find that single replacement, combination, decomposition, and combustion, هذول الأربعة كلهم فيهم change or transfer of electrons. So they are classified, in addition to being their type, they are also redox reactions. The other two reactions which are not اللي هم or the one which is left is the double replacement. Double replacement وبنضيف عليه كمان acid base neutralization reaction. طبعا راح نشوف examples. If you want to see some examples here about to consider the potassium metal reacts violently with water. لما البوتاسيوم يتفاعل مع الwater, it will produce what? Produce hydrogen gas, which is يعني ignited, and the potassium hydroxide. طيب البوتاسيوم originally was what? يعني if I want to write إن شاء الله يرضى يكتب هذا، مش راضي يكتب، بس خلينا نحاول. ما راضي يكتب. خلينا نرجع على السلايد اللي قبلها مرة. It says here potassium metal reacts violently with water. So the reaction, if you want to write it, هو عبارة عن K plus H2O to produce hydrogen H2 plus potassium hydroxide. طيب اطلع على البوتاسيوم now انت. Potassium was potassium metal اللي هو zero oxidation number، صح؟ لما صار potassium hydroxide أصبح K plus، يعني الأوكسيديشن نمبر تبع البوتاسيوم has increased from 0 to +1. إذن that originally this is a single replacement، بس في النهاية there is a change. This is an oxidation reduction reaction. صح ولا لا؟ The other reaction is if you try to لازم خط واحد, which is if you take a piece of zinc اللي هو metal و dip it in a test tube زي ما انت شايف هذا test tube فيه hydrochloric acid. If you put the zinc inside بعد شوي بتصير تشوف bubbles. What these are bubbles coming from? They are coming from the reaction of zinc metal اللي هو Zn0 or solid with HCl. لما يتفاعل مع ال HCl بيطلع لنا zinc chloride plus hydrogen gas. The same thing. Zinc was zero metal اللي هو zero oxidation number. أصبح إيش يا فكرني اسمك؟ ها؟ سعود. شو صار في الزنك in this case لما صار ZnCl2 صار Zn او Zn plus 2 صح ولا لا؟ كان 0 اصبح plus 2 that's an oxidation معناها في تغيير في الاكسيديشن نمبر معناها في transfer of electrons معناها this is a redox reaction. That's the way we classify the reactions. The double replacement as I said and the acid base reactions they are not. هلا بنشوف examples. عمرك شفت اللايتنينج هذا اللي بصير في الشتاء؟ طيب تعرف ليش هذا بصير؟ It's a reaction between nitrogen gas and oxygen. لما يتفاعلوا هذول مع بعض they produce a lot of energy اللي انت بتشوفها in form of a light. هاي الايكويشن تبعها which is N2 plus O2 to produce 2NO. The question is how can you tell if this is a redox reaction or not? So واحد سألك is this reaction oxidation reduction reaction ولا لا? How are you going to answer him? بتقول له I have to look for the transfer of electrons. هل في transfer of electrons ولا لا؟ شو عرفك ولا لا؟ You have to look for the oxidation numbers وبعدين بتقرر يا عبد المحسن. Let's try to do that. What is the oxidation number of nitrogen? 2. شو 0 حلو وهذا الاكسجين 0 طيب خلصنا هذا 0 0 وهون النيتروجين بلس 2 والاكسجين ماينس 2 في تغيير في الاكسيديشن نمبر ولا لا؟ بعدين معك 0 to plus 2 0 to minus 2 كيف ما فيش تغيير؟ ها؟ ايش اللي النهايه بصير؟ يا اخوي انا ما سالتك عن انه انا بحب انه نيوترال يا عبد المحسن لا تزعلني منك. We look for the transfer of electron في one atom اللي او an element. انا سيبك من الاكسجين. النيتروجين شو كان؟ 0 وشو صار؟ اذا في تغيير ولا لا؟ شو هو التغيير؟ عباره عن 0 2 plus 2 شوف هذا بنتج عن ايش؟ اوكسيديشن ولا ريدكشن؟ اوكسيديشن عشان اسهل عليك. اوكسيديشن يعني losing of electrons. كم الكترون lost؟ 2 gained by the oxygen. الاكسجين كان 0 اصبح minus 2 اذا في transfer of electrons ولا ما فيش؟ اذا this is a redox reaction ولا لا؟ It is. اذا this is the way we decide whether a reaction is a redox reaction ولا redox طبعا معروف. شو يعني الريدوكس؟ يعني oxidation reduction reaction. صح؟ كيف بدك تثبت انه هذا الرياكشن is I can tell you يا عبد المحسن this is a question that I can see it now. It is in any coming exam. راح يجيك سؤال يقول لك which of the following is oxidation reduction reaction. كيف بدك تعرف؟ بدك to determine all the oxidation numbers before and after. إذا في change معناها it is a redox. If no معناها no. شو بس بشكل عام we know that combustion, decomposition, combination, single replacement هذول الأربعة all of them they are redox reaction. But we cannot start with them. يعني ما بتقدر أنت to look at the type of the reaction then they say oh this is single replacement it must be a redox reaction. لا. You do the oxidation number change after you finish you confirm your answer with the fact that this is single replacement. أو you do that and it is not there's no change بعدين بتقول yes it is it shouldn't be change. ليش؟ لأنه هذا double replacement reaction. Okay, so if we move on this is the answer يا عبد المحسن. The oxidation number of nitrogen increases from 0 to plus 2 and the oxidation number of oxygen decreases from 0 to minus 2. That's why the reaction between nitrogen and oxygen is a form nitrogen monoxide is a redox reaction. Right. Sometimes we can not only use the type of reaction as a confirmation, also we can look at the color change. طبعا now we agreed from chemistry 1 that one of the clues of إنه في reaction is the fact that there is a color change. But we cannot depend on that. It is just a clue. A clue يعني it's an indication, but not necessarily to be the case. صح? For example, if you consider permanganate reacted with Br minus راح يصير لونه brown. But changing the color is an indication that there is an oxidation reduction reaction. But the most thing that has no doubt is to determine the oxidation number. You want to try that يا سعود؟ ما له عينك. توجعك؟ ولا مش نايم؟ طيب manganese اللي هو البرمنجانيت هذا او البرمنجانيت يس MnO4 ماينس. خلينا نشوف الاكسيديشن نمبر اوف manganese قديش تقدر. خلينا اذكرك بالرولز. There are two rules here we're going to use. The first one is rule number 3 which says that oxygen is always -2. هاي بحل لك مشكلة. The other one is rule number 6 which says that when we have something like this اللي هو بنسميه polyatomic ion, the sum of the oxidation numbers is equal to the charge اللي هي -1. Okay? فالاكسجين is -2 times 4 that is -8. صح؟ -8 plus something is equal to -1. قديش something هذا راح يكون؟ ها؟ 8 7 plus 7 و -8 الجواب بيطلع -1. فاذا المنغنيز here is plus 7 وهنا it is plus 2. فاذا واضح التشينج انه في المنغنيز has been reduced from Mn7 into Mn2 فمعناه في reduction. And anytime there is a reduction which is a gaining of electron بده يكون في حدا ثاني that is oxidized by losing electrons اللي هو البرومين has gone from -1 to 0. And that is an increase in the oxidation number, that is an oxidation. Okay? طيب كمان examples. هاي التفاحة خلصنا. هذول two reactions also. Use the change in oxidation number to identify whether each reaction is a redox reaction or a reaction of some other type. If a reaction is a redox reaction, then he wants you to identify the one which is oxidized and reduce, oxidizing agent and reducing agent. What is the thing that we need to do in order to determine that? We have to assign the oxidation numbers. Again, assign the oxidation numbers for everyone. Look for a change. If there is a change, معناها this is a redox reaction. Not only that, هو بده إياك كمان to decide which one is oxidized, which one is reduced. Let's do that. Cl2, 0. Na, Br. Na plus 1 will Br is -1. صح؟ طيب. Move to this side. NaCl, Na plus 1, Cl minus 1 will Br is 0, Br2. Then for the chlorine, it was 0 and become -1. Is this a decrease or an increase? That's a decrease. معناها reduction. Then chlorine gas has been reduced into chloride ion. Well, bromide ion, which is -1, became 0. That has been oxidized from bromide into. Then هذا reaction is a redox reaction, and the one which is oxidized is the what? Which one is oxidized? Bromide ion oxidized into bromine, and the chlorine has been reduced into chloride. طبعا which one is oxidized will be the reducing agent, and the one which is reduced will be the oxidizing agent. هذا مفهوم. خلصنا من السؤال الأول، نيجي للسؤال الثاني. Sodium is +1, والoxygen is -2, والhydrogen is what? الهيدروجين is +1. طيب معناها هذول الصوديوم +1 والاكسجين -2 والهيدروجين +1. We move to the next one, which is sulfuric acid. The oxygen is -2 times 4, that is -8. والهيدروجين is +1 بروح منها. اذا بضل عندنا السلفر is, what is the sulfur? H2SO4 +6. That is good. طيب خلصنا من reactants. حفظتهم ولا لا يا ابو محسن؟ يا ابو محسن حفظتهم. خلينا نروح على الجهه الثانيه. صوديوم سلفيت. صوديوم is +1 والاكسجين is -2 معناها السلفر is +6. معناها ما تغيرش بين السلفوريك اسيد and صوديوم سلفيت نفس الشيء. السلفر ما تغير، الصوديوم ما تغير، والاكسجين ما تغير. If you move to the H2O معروف +1 و -2 في تغيير ما فيش تغيير. اذا none of them has changed. طيب شو هو الرياكشن هذا اصلا؟ هو non redox بس. This is acid base reaction. مش احنا قلنا double replacement والacid base reaction they are non redox. هيك that's the way you confirm your answer. Okay. طيب هذا كل الكلام اللي احنا قلناه سووه في الشكل هذا. Cl0 to Cl minus, Br minus to Br0. This redox reaction, the chlorine is reduced, the bromine is oxidized. The oxidizing agent or bromide is the reducing agent. هاي الكونكلوجن. وهذا ما فيش أي تغيير. There's not a redox reaction. طيب هاي كمان question يا فاطمة تشريك من الموبايل. We have 4 choices. This is a very typical question in exams and homeworks and assignments and quizzes. Which of the following are redox reactions? هل فيهم 1 ولا أكثر من 1? We will see. Starting with the first one. Okay, so كل مرة what we need to do, assign the oxidation number and see if there's a change or not. طيب NH3, the hydrogen is +1, so the nitrogen will be -3. طيب والكلورين والهيدروجين اللي هو هذا H plus Cl minus. طيب let's move to this side. الكلورين is still minus، ظل زي ما هو ما تغير حاجه. والهيدروجين is +1 معناها النيتروجين is -3 نفس الشيء، معناها ما فيش change. شو كمان نقدر نعرف about this reaction؟ شو هو الامونيا is what؟ is a base. والهيدروكلوريك acid base reaction ما فيش. طيب اذا this is gone. طيب نيجي ل B. السلفر in the first one SO3 شو بكون؟ oxidation number of sulfur +6. طيب هو مش دائما +6 by the way. يعني I know I understand. انا خفت عليك تكون تفكر انه sulfur is always ما اوكي very good. طيب ممتاز. الهيدروجين is +1 والاكسجين is -2. طيب هنا it's the same thing. hydrogen +1, sulfur is +6 and oxygen is -2. ما فيش تغيير. There's nothing in this change here. طيب C, sodium hydroxide plus hydrochloric acid to produce sodium chloride and water. This is an acid-base reaction. Heat, and it's non-redox, but we have to prove that. Let's take a look at the sodium is +1 or +1. The oxygen is -2, -2. The hydrogen +1, +1. والهيدروجين ونفس الشيء. So there's no change in this. By default بده يكون هذا. بس we have to show that. ما في انه احنا نختاره غلط، بلكي السؤال غلط، صح ولا؟ تحبوا انتم السؤال يكون غلط. طيب where is the sulfur here يا عبد المحسن؟ The oxidation number -2. very good. -2 هنا 0. خلاص ما دام في واحد تغيير that's it. ما في داعي تكمل، بس احنا نكمل just to prove that. والنيتروجين هنا عندنا -6 و+1 اعطانا الجواب خلص. اوكي و+1 معناه النيتروجين هي +5 بينما هو هنا +2 معناها في decrease in the oxidation number and that is reduction. اوكي فهمنا؟ اذا determining the oxidation number of a chemical reaction and deciding whether this is a redox reaction is a very important topic that you have to learn and to know. That is the last one is not balanced. يا هديل احنا we're not here to balance the chemical equation. احنا ما سألناك to balance it ولا بهمنا تكون balanced. احنا بهمنا انه at this time whether there's a change or no change. هذا redox ولا مش redox. That is very important up to this slide. هلا بعد هاي السلايد نبدا نخش في التفاصيل. ها ايش بدك نرجع عليه؟ هنرجع عليه. ها ايش هو؟ بي. wait. وانا دخلتي في الحيطه انت على طول. Listen to me. We determine the oxidation number of the atom مش sum of the oxidation number لازم يكون متساوي. هذا راح يصير متساوي when we do the balancing chemical equation. But at this time oxidation number is determined per atom وليس per group of atoms. انت قاعد تحسب التوتال انه هنا كان -6 وهنا أو total -6 or -8. That is absolutely wrong. The oxygen is -2, but we have 3 atoms. مفهوم؟ والعيد لك يا أختي العزيزة. We are determining the oxidation number of atoms وليس السم. We use the sum as a rule, but we're not asking you for what is the sum of the oxidation number. I'm going, what is the oxidation number of oxygen? The oxidation number of oxygen is -2. Always -2. هلا إنه يكون هون التوتال 6. طب وما يكون لازم يظلوا 6 عشان يكون ما فيش تغيير؟ No. طب ما هو في هاي أكسجين ثاني it lost 2 electrons. Okay? Or gain 2 electrons. فلو جمعت هاي وهاي بيطلع صعب، بس احنا this is not the way we look at it. We look at the oxidation number of a single atom, whether it's been changed or not. That's what we do. Okay? بس انت اللي يعني اللي راح تشوفيه الان which is balancing the chemical equation using oxidation number change راح يعتمد على موضوع how many electrons total has been gained and how much been reduced, but that is for the purpose of balancing the chemical equation, مش عشان نقول انه في redox ولا احنا خلاص already decided انه this is a redox reaction. And then if it is a redox reaction and it is unbalanced and you want to balance it, then you have to use one of these two methods, which is oxidation number change and the half reaction. كل واحدة راح نشرحها separately. What is the main concept في both methods؟ بيعتمدوا على one main concept, and that is the total number of electrons that are gained is equal to the number of electrons that are lost. الحين أنا بدي أرجعك على السؤال اللي احنا سويناه بالذات بي. أولا هذا بالانس ولا مش بالانس؟ مش بالانس. ليش مش؟ It is balanced. Now I'm going to show you that the total number of electrons طبعا هنا ما في تغيير في الاكسيديشن نمبر، بس او زي ما قالت هديل انه هنا is this equation balanced ولا لا؟ 3 sulfur و 3 sulfur 3 6 hydrogen و 2 that's an 8 that's an 8 when nitrogen 2 yeah it is balanced equation. معناها is not a good example. Let's move on. اهم شيء انه number of electron gain is equal to the number of electron lost. We know that oxidation is about what? Losing electrons. Something بيكون عنده oxidation number, it will increase by losing electrons. هذول number of electrons that are lost exactly has to be equal to the number of electron gain. If we do that, if we make sure that they are equal, the equation it will be balanced by itself. Let's take a look. Okay, oxidation number change method, you balance the equation by comparing the increase and the decrease in the oxidation number. في عندنا 5 steps that we have to follow. 5 steps. خلينا نشوف. Now I want any one of you to try to balance this equation using the old method. خلينا نحاول نجرب نشوف why we need to go through 5 steps مع انها العملية سهلة. يلا يا عبد المحسن balance it زي ما كنت تعرف بالاول. اوكي 2 ايرونز 1 ايرون نضربها في 2. طيب بقى انا مش راح اقدر اكتب بس انت عارف ضربناها في 2 صح؟ حلو. اكسجين في عندنا 3 1 4 وهون عندنا 2 اضربها في 2. طيب حلو. نيجي لمين؟ للكربون في عندنا 1 وهذه ضربناها في 2 صح؟ نضربها في 2. شو صار بالاكسجين؟ تغير. we have to balance it again. طيب صار عندنا 5 وهناك 4. how we gonna make it؟ بدك تظبط الاكسجين بخرب الكربون، تخبط الكربون بخرب الاكسجين. اذا using an old method in this case is not going to work. We have to use the oxidation number change. The first step as usual is to assign the oxidation numbers. هاي اول خطوه بتسويها، وهذا عشان قلت لكم انه الاكسيديشن نمبر determination will become by default. بنبطل هو المين جول. هلا انا my goal is to balance the chemical equation. When I ask you to do that, you have to use the oxidation number. Determining the oxidation number become something that يعني you got used to. طيب as usual iron is -2. شفتي يا فاطمه ما حطيناش 1 -6 قلنا -2 لان I'm talking about one atom. But when I use rule number 6 which is the sum is equal to 0 then I say 2 - 3 that is 6 وعشان هيك هذا بيطلع +3. You understand؟ حتى الايرون is +3 مع انه total number is equal to 6. 3 per atom. Do you understand؟ طيب اذا الايرون was 3 plus وصار 0. اذا step number 2 will be after doing that is to identify which one is oxidized which one is reduced. في الحالة هذه الايرون has been increased in that, so that is reduction. والcarbon has been oxidized. إذن iron is reduced, carbon is oxidized. This is step number 2. What is step number 3? Use the brackets. تعمل هيك brackets between اللي صار له oxidation واللي صار له reduction وتشوف how many electrons being transferred. For the carbon to become +2 ل +4 معنى ذلك إنه في 2 electrons. صح؟ الoxidation by increase of the oxidation number of +2. طيب والايرون من 3 to 0 that's a decrease in the oxidation number by -3. عشان هيك حطينا minus لانه decrease. الرول what it says? It says that the number of electron gained has to be equal to the number of electron lost. يعني هذول الثنتين لازم يتساووا. عشان يتساووا بين 2 و 3 what we do? Multiply by what? Multiply this by 3, multiply this by 2 بصير هاي 6 by 6. صح؟ When we multiply this by 3 we have to multiply the compound that is associated with that. هذا هو. Making the total increase in the oxidation number equal to the total decrease in the oxidation number by using appropriate coefficients. شو هم الكوفيشنتس؟ المولز اللي بنحطها قبل. هاي الارقام اللي بنحطها هون. هاي معناها اوكي؟ وليش قال appropriate؟ يعني المناسب. طيب we multiply this by 3 حطينا 3 و 3. هاي we need to multiply it by 2. طب هون ما ضربناش في 2 هون ضربنا في 2 ليه؟ لأنه already we have 2 atoms. المهم انك تخلي number of atoms are the same. Number 5 خلاص بس when you do this the equation will be balanced by itself. You can check it. تتأكد انها balanced ولا لا. You check it. إذا كان في شيء ظل مش balanced وهذا بصير مرات for the atoms that are not undergoing change زي الهيدروجين الآخري ممكن يكون فيها شوية then you can do it manually يعني زي ما كنا نعمل الأول. بس it is possible this way. هلا شوف iron is 2, oxygen is 3 و 3 6, 3 times 2 that is 6, carbon is 3 and 3. اوكي اذا هي ضبطت بس بايش؟ بالاكسيديشن نمبر تشين وليس بالترايل اند ايرور that we used to do. You want to take another example? تذكر خلينا to review the 5 steps. Step number 1 assign the oxidation number. Step number 2 decide which one is oxidized which one is reduced. How you do that? The one which undergo increase معناها oxidation, decrease, reduction. طيب number 3 use the brackets to determine how much is the change. Is it يعني how much is the increase and how much is the decrease. Number 5 you make sure that they are equal by multiplying by the appropriate coefficients. Once you do that the equation will be balanced. أسهل من هيك ما في. This is step number 5. طيب let's do that. هاي عندنا هذه يا عبد المحسن شو رايك to balance it. أول step we need to assign the oxidation number. خلينا نسوي هاي الجواب احنا ونشوف. potassium +1, oxygen is -2, -2 times 7 that is -14. بروح منها 2 بلس تبعت البوتاسيوم معناها +12 +12 بس عندنا 2 atoms إذا +6. إذا the oxidation number of chromium is +6 يا فاطمة وليس 12 and 12 per 2 atoms. طيب حفظتم يا عبد المحسن؟ طب شو رايك نقول لك على السلايد اللي بعدها بدل ما ضلك تحت. This one هذا خلصنا لك القصه عشان ما نضيعش وقت كثير ما هو احنا خلاص we got used to this. Now step number 2 هي المهم. Which one is oxidized which one is reduced. Take a look. الكروميوم كان بلس اول شيء البوتاسيوم تغير عليه شيء؟ لا. الكروميوم yes 6 و 3 إذن that's a decrease, that is a reduction. في reduction of the chromium from +6 to +3. كيف عرفنا إنه reduction يا سعود؟ لأنه في decrease. طيب الأكسجين -2 everywhere ما نفش في. الهيدروجين is +1 everywhere منه فيه. السلفر was 0 وأصبح هنا +4. That's an increase. So that is an oxidation. إذن في reduction of chromium والسلفر is being. هذا step number 2. إذن هذا step number 2. هاي حددنا which one is reduced, which one is oxidized. What is the step after that? نحط له brackets ونشوف how much is the decrease and how much is the increase. لو حطينا brackets between the chromium, that is a decrease by 3. فإذا بيكون -3. وهذاك بيكون +2 صح؟ أو +4 I'm sorry. هذا هو -3 يعني decrease كان by 3 وهذا كان في +4. What is the common number between 3 and 4? 12. معناه we multiply this by 3 we multiply this by 4. بس تنتبه دير بالك طلع على النمبر of atoms. لأنه في النهاية أنت بهمك إنه النمبر of atoms to be equivalent to the number of electrons. إحنا -3 per 1 atom. يعني كل واحدة atom of chromium was 6 وصارت 3. عشان يصير 12 we need to multiply this by 4. فمعناها we multiply this by 2 we multiply this by 2 مش by 4. ليش؟ لأنه already في 2 atoms. إنهم يكونوا 4 atoms in each side. صح؟ مش عشان يكون 12 يعني كل واحدة بتخسر 3 معناها لازم يكونوا 4 atoms مش يكونوا. لو ضربناه في 4 بصير كثير. فإذا نضرب هاي by 2 وهاي by 2. What about this one? We have 4 بس نضربها في 3. هون 3 وهون 3 بس خلصنا. The way it will look like is like this. I multiply by 2 وهي multiply by 2 and this one is multiplied by 3 وهي multiply by. Let's check it الحين نشوف انها balanced ولا مش balanced ونشوف اذا في شيء ضل we balance it يا عبد المحسن زي ما قلنا. We inspect it. That's step number 5. We inspect it and we see if it is balanced تمام. مش balanced إذا في بعضهم still left we can do it with the manual خلينا نسميه. All right. Potassium we have 2 times 2 that is 4 بينما هنا 1 فإذا by default نضرب هاي by 4. اوكي طيب الكروميوم 2 و2 oxygen 2 times 7 خلص. اوكي the only thing بدك تسويه بس تضرب هاي في 4 بس مش اكثر من ذلك. والمي يمكن by 2. All right. The water is by 2 and the other one by 4. بتصير equation completely balanced. شفت انه في إمكانية إنه after you do the balancing. إحنا when we did the balancing the equation using the oxidation number كان الفوكس على الatoms that undergo exchange. الother atoms زي potassium, hydrogen, oxygen ما دخلوا في اللعبة هاي. فعشان هيك we do that when we do the inspection. مش always like that. Sometimes it is, sometimes it is not. But you have to do step number 5, which is check your equation and make sure that every single atom is balanced using the trial and error that we used to do before. Good. Half reaction كان في كمان example. I don't want to take it to the half reaction. بتضيع. This was the last. Good. إذا فهمنا شو الأوكسيديشن change method. 5 steps. طيب السؤال in the exam if we specify if we said balance the following equation used or the when you balance the equation using the oxidation number راح تصير زي هيك 1 2 3 ABC. اوكي طب انت are you لازم مجبر انك تستخدم هاي الميثود؟ No, you can use any method الا في حاله يعني between this method and that method اللي هي oxidation number change والhalf reaction. بس في الhalf reaction في عندنا 2 methods. هذا اللي راح اورجيكم اياه which is using the half reactions. يعني الرياكشن بقسمه لاثنين اللي undergo reduction والundergo oxidation بدون الثانيين. انا ما بهمني الاكسجين والهيدروجين والاذرز. انا بهمني اللي انا am interested in. Those ones you write the balance oxidation reduction half reaction. half يعني نص تبع الاكسيديشن لحال ونص تبع الريدكشن لحال. Then you balance this one separately and you balance the other one separately. Then you join them together. هذا اللي راح نسويه. This is another method. Now to use this method or the other method you are free. انت حر. بس احنا عادة in the equation, in the question, we usually specify. Sometimes we don't. If we don't انت حر. بس if we specify يكون في سبب لذلك. انه if you do it the other way there might be change in the others مش في الاوريجينال ones. لانه انت الان راح تشوف انه الهاف reaction could be done under acidic media or basic media. الجواب في الاسيديك is different from the basic مش من ناحيه الاتومز that undergo the oxidation or reduction but regarding the others اللي هو الاكسجين والهيدروجين بيكونوا مختلفين. اوكي طيب هذا this is just an example for you that sulfur. شوف السلفر يا عبد محسن plus 6 plus 4 plus 1 plus كل هذول للسلفر. فthis means that we cannot balance the equation by the normal way we used to do. We have to use one of those methods. خلينا نشوف هذه example which is sulfur plus HNO3 to produce sulfur dioxide plus nitrogen oxide plus H. طلع عليها is it balanced? No, it is not balanced. هل نستطيع to balance it using the regular method? The answer is no. إذا بدك تجرب you can try. Do you want to try? Sulfur is sulfur. One sulfur, one sulfur. طلع الهيدروجين. We have two hydrogen this side and one hydrogen this. So we multiply it to HNO3 مضروبها باثنين. صح؟ طيب نيجي على الأكسجين. We have 2 times 3 that is 6. وعندنا on the other side 1, 2, 3 و 4 صح؟ 1 من الwater, 1 من nitrogen oxide و2 من هذيك إذن 4. Then we need to multiply. كيف نسويهم 6؟ لازم هاي تبعت السلفر نضربها في 2. يصيروا 4 و1 و1 6 صح؟ If we do that شو بصير في السلفر؟ بتغير. لازم نرجع نضرب السلفر في 2 كمان مرة. نيجي على النيتروجين 1 نيتروجين هنا في 2 نيتروجين هناك فيش 2 نيتروجين إذا لازم نضرب ال NO by 2. شو صار في الأكسجين؟ عاود خرب كمان مرة. We have to do that. ف it's not gonna work. شو الطريقة الصح؟ Either the oxidation number change or we can use the half reaction. شو half reaction? To divide following the steps. أولاً write the unbalanced equation in the ionic form. ذاكرين موضوع الأيونيك form؟ net ionic ولا ionic؟ تكتب ionic يعني بتفصل كل شيء aqueous you separate it into ions. طيب the products are covalent compounds. ال HNO3 بيصير H plus و NO3 minus. البقية ما بتغيرش على وجه كلهم gas و liquid والى آخره. This is the only one that has to be separated. مظبوط؟ طيب النيتروجين هنا هو مع النيتروجين هنا التغيير صار. This is a half reaction لحاله. مظبوط؟ Sulfur is oxidized. Write the separate half reaction for it. اكتب half reaction for each one لحاله. السلفر has been oxidized ولا لا؟ طلع هنا. Sulfur was 0 والسلفر هنا أصبح plus 4. إذن this is oxidation ولا لا؟ إذن بكتب الهاف reaction هذا لحاله اللي هو like this. See? Sulfur goes to sulfur oxide. بس هذا اسمه half reaction for oxidation. مظبوط؟ Is this difficult? You determine which one is oxidized. تكتب لحاله ما بدي لا هيدروجين ولا أي شيء ثاني. طيب reduction in this case خلينا نرجع هنا. Nitrogen here is plus 5 صح؟ plus 5. ليش؟ لأنه minus 2 times 3 the total has to be minus 6. فإذا plus 5 وهنا قديش؟ plus 2. ما دام plus 5 plus 2 معناها في عندنا إيش؟ decrease. That is a reduction. معناها هذا هو تبع reduction. إذا بكتب هذا NO3 minus goes to NO as a reduction reaction. إذا I was able to write this side separate وهذا separate. Okay? الحين باخذ كل واحد لحاله. I need to balance. طيب طلع الفرق بيناتهم. Sulfur is easy. والoxygen, how are you going to balance the oxygen? We balance the oxygen and hydrogen depending on whether we are dealing with acidic media or basic. إذا كان acidic media, we use water and H+. لأنه هذا الأسيدك ميديا ولا لا؟ مش الأسيدك ميديا يكون في H+. والبيسك ميديا water and OH-. خلينا نتعلم الأسيدك ميديا الأول لأنه أصلا البيسك is not mentioned in the examples here. I will upload a document separate اسمها balancing equation using هذا word file راح احط لك على الموديل that has different steps. اوكي طيب نيجي ل اللي هو هذا using an acidic solution we use water and H plus and basic we use water and OH minus. خلينا نستخدم الاسيدك اللي هي هاي. طيب نيجي للسلفر. قبل البيزك كان عندنا 0 اكسجين عندنا 2 اكسجين عشان تبالانس بحط how many water molecules I need to put 2 صح بس that is including hydrogen how many hydrogen ممكن 4 بعوضهم بالبلس اذا حطيت on this side 2H2O and this side 4H plus واضح ولا لا؟ لا ما تهزوش روشكم بس عشان واضح اوكي اذا originally اصلا كان sulfur going to SO2 if I want to balance it first I will look into the sulfur sulfur واحد هون وواحد هون ما فيش مشكله لو في I will do it first اذا first thing I will balance the atoms in the half reaction اذا كان في شيء يحتاج اني اضرب في 2 او في 3 او whatever to balance the other atoms زي sulfur nitrogen I will do that هون ما في حاجه للسلفر بس we have a problem with the oxygen we have 2 oxygen to substitute that I have to use 2 water molecules 2 water molecules فيهم 4 hydrogen then I have to put 4H plus كويس طيب what is the step number 4 step number 4 we do the same thing balance the atoms in the other half reaction اللي هو تبع الريدكشن نيجي على الريدكشن قبل ما نضيف الووتر والى اخره في عندنا NO3 واصبح NO اذا في عندنا هنا اكسجين 3 وهون في عندنا واحده اذا I have to add also 2 water molecules in this side and 4H plus in that side and that was كويس ايش يا سلام انت لازم تجاوب السؤال هذا بناء على الاكسجين يا الاكسجين هون 3 وهون 2 وين احط الووتر هون ولا هون انا الفكره من الووتر واحد to balance the oxygen بس انا I'm doing adding the water to balance the oxygen هنا في 3 oxygen هنا في 1 I need to add 2 water molecules to balance the oxygen بس بما اني ضفت water which is including 2 hydrogens times 2 that is 4 بحط مقابلها 4H plus عشان to balance the hydrogen اذا originally I balanced the oxygen by adding water molecules then I fix the hydrogen by the H plus فهمنا طيب اذا اصبح عندنا هذا half reaction وهذاك other half reaction what is step number 5 I need to balance each half reaction for charges شو يعني charges طب ما هو قبل ما نضيفها تصير ما ضفتش طلع هنا in this side we have water which is neutral sulfur neutral SO3 neutral في 4H plus البالانس here the equation is not balanced. I neutralize this by electrons مش عندنا 4H plus بضيف لهم 4 electrons هيك صارت التشارج on this side 0 and the other side is 0 I will do the same thing with the reduction reduction بس تنسيش شغله هاي الماينس لازم to consider صح originally كان في عندنا 4H plus و 1 minus معناها on this side في عندنا total of 3 plus صح ولا لا عشان هيك I need to add 3 electrons on إذا ضفنا 3 electrons أصبحت reduction is balanced in terms of the charge and terms of the atom الحين هذا half reaction هذا والother half reaction اللي in the previous slide both of them are balanced in terms of the atoms and in terms of the charge ما ظل علي اللي ارجع combine them again صح مش احنا اصلا فصلناهم they were one reaction I wrote them in 2 separate half reaction step number 5 will be to add them again بس before I add them نرجع للرول الأصلية which says that the number of electron lost has to be equal to the number of electron gained هلا إذا بتتذكر let me just take you back here هنا how many electrons we have 4 وهنا how many electrons we have 3 ما بنفع لازم يصيروا the same number of electrons then this means that we have to multiply this whole equation by 4 وهاي equation by 3 before you add them مفهوم يا عبد المحسن ولا لا؟ طيب ماشي، انت لغايه هنا is fine. لما ضفنا الفور electrons you understand why we add the 4 electrons صح؟ وهنا ضفنا 3 electrons you understand صح؟ الان these two half reactions has to be added. بس عشان to be added لازم الان number of electrons يكونوا متساويين. طب هذا فيه 3 وهذا فيه 4. How can I make them the same؟ عشان اكنسلهم مع بعض. انت notice one thing. هنا the electrons are part of the reactants. وفي the previous one electrons part of the product. يعني when I add them I will cancel them. طب كيف بدي cancel 3 مع 4؟ ما بينفع. لازم they have to be the same number. So that's why I need to multiply the oxidation by 3 والother one by 4. عشان هيك بصيروا two reactions like this. شوف هذا first oxidation just multiply by 4. لما ضربناه by 3 صار 6H2O 3 sulfur 3 SO2 12H plus و 12 electrons. والثاني صار 16 لانه ضربناه ب 4 16H plus 4NO3 12 electrons. اول شغله بسويها I cancel the electrons. Then I cancel any other thing that is the same. يعني نطلع طيب هنا في عندنا H plus في هناك H plus yes في H plus in the product وهنا in the reactant. في هنا 14 وهنا في 12 معناها هذول 12 بروحوا مع ال 16 هذول عندي 4 صح؟ وكذلك الامر بالنسبه للووتر ماركس. في هنا 6 ووتر ماركس هنا في 8 معناها بضل 2 من this side. يعني when I add them they will look. هذا قبل الشطب. الان بعد الشطب صاروا هيك. بعد ما شطبنا الاتش بلس كيف صارت 4 اتش بلس؟ لانه كان في 16 and 12 والووتر how it become 2 لانه كان في 16 I'm sorry 6 and 8. طيب خلصنا هيك ولا لا؟ خلصنا. The only thing that is missing is I have to bring back الspectator ions. تتذكر لما بدينا من اول first step was to write it in a unit form صح؟ فصلنا الاتش على انه بنرجع بس اي 4 اتش بلس 4 NO3 ما نفسه بصيروا 4 اتش NO3 بس. That's the only step that is. هاي balance it. check it يا عبد الناصر. Is it balanced ولا لا؟ اذا balance باضافه الووتر مولكيولز. لو واحد قال لك ضيف ووتر مولكيولز من اول كيف لازم to separate them into half reactions and to do that the same thing. طبعا في more examples اضافه لموضوع البيسك. عشان هيك we're going to do this next time. And this is a very important thing. فهي it's a long procedure بس في النهايه في سؤالين زي ما انا شايفه. في الفاينل اكزام وفي الثيرد اكزام اللي راح يكونوا combined. Balance the following equation using half reaction in acidic medium or in basic medium. طبعا مش راح يكون هيك السؤال. يقول لك the coefficient of مثلا هذا السؤال. شفت هاي قبل ما تكون بالانس انا شو مكتوب هون؟ 4 صح؟ طيب خلينا نرجع كيف بده السؤال. الايكويشن بتكون نرجع هنا يقول لك after balancing this equation using half reaction in acidic media the coefficient in front of HNO3 will be A 2 B 3 C 4 ودي 5. كده تعرف you have to do all these steps عشان تكتشف انه لازم يكون هنا 4 HNO3. alright that's the way that يعني هذا this is one form of the questions. okay زودنا عليكم 6 minutes بس سامحونا. في عندك سؤال؟ الالكترونز هنا. هاي الالكترونز just calm down. طلع على هذا. When we get this equation what we did is we balanced the oxygen with water and we replace it with H plus. Do you agree? طيب طلع على charges. طلع على reactants. What is the charges in the charge in the reactants? 0. لأنه الwater is neutral والsulfur is neutral. طيب in the product في عندنا 4H plus ما بصير لازم يكونوا balanced. رجعنا نفس القصة، ما فيش فايدة فيها. نفس المشكلة تبعت السؤال الأول still there في راسك. طيب اوكي. No, it works here معك، ممكن تزبط، بس الأحسن لك والأسهل لك من كل اللخبطة وتخش في سلفر واكسدايز ولا ريديوس ولا وات ايفر. عندك 4H plus I need to become 0، بضيف عدد الكترونات that is equal to that بس. فلما بضيف الالكترونز it will become زي 4 electrons بس. لأنه if you want to do the same، طب تعال نشوف هنا. مظبوط كلامك صحيح، لكن الافضل انه احنا to stick to the charges. هون التشارجز التوتال in the reactant is +3، فمعناها بنضيف 3 electrons. اوكي. في النهايه I need to make sure that the number of electrons has to be equal، عشان هيك ما بنفع هذول يكونوا 3، لازم يصيروا 12 by multiplying by 4 and the other one has to be multiplied by 3 لانها اصلا 4. okay. when you do that you get this. You add them by cancelling anything that is common including طبعا number 1 electrons. بس اذا في H plus in both sides I remove it. في water molecules I remove it. okay. فلما when you do that you get to this equation. You just add the اللي هو شو اسمه spectator ions and you get your equation is balanced. This is number 5. okay. We're going to stop over here. تذكروا المرة الجاية الكيمينوفور. all right. yeah. Enjoy your day and we'll see